I'm Hamish Linklater, and I play Father Paul.
I'm Samantha Sloyan, and I play Beverly Keene.
Hi, I'm Kate Siegel, and I play Erin Green.
I'm Zach Gilford, and I play Riley Flynn.
My name is Annabeth Gish, and I play Dr. Sarah Gunning.
Hi, I'm Kristin Lehman, and I play Annie Flynn.
And today, we're here with BuzzFeed to answer burning questions.
So just be aware there are spoilers for the show. So if you don't want spoilers, stop watching now.
When I was cast, I knew basically nothing. I had two scenes that were both in the first episode. And besides that, all I knew was Mike's work. I won the job. I was really excited. And then I got to read the scripts and I was like, holy like, this is really good.
I knew everything about my character and my arc because I had read the scripts, unlike Sam Sloyan, who just like made up her role on the day.
I knew quite a bit, and but you never really know, even when Mike tells you where something's going, until you read how he makes it happen, you really don't know. You're like, oh, that is what you meant?
Going in, I only had one audition scene. When I got it, I still knew very little until I started receiving all the scripts at the same time. Then I knew everything. But that was well before we began. We knew immediately what we were creating, which I personally find way more beneficial as an actor.
Mike had sent me, he had texted me about a role in the show. I said I was definitely interested in, probably in, and then he sent me a few episodes and I was hooked.
Well, when the book Midnight Mass was in Hush, it was in novel form. Mike hadn't written it as a film, which is what it became next, and then a series. So it was Mike Flanagan's great unfinished novel. So I always thought it was going to be a book. And I thought the only life it would ever have on screen was Hush. Here we are. I think it was really, really lucky. Zach and I were together for the first 2 weeks of shooting. Like, we did all of the Erin and Riley stuff at the beginning, and we would talk about monologue day. Monologue day is coming. Monologue. I mean, Zach had it plastered to his wall, like that meme of the person with the red, like it's like freaking Zodiac in there trying to put together all of these thoughts. And then on the day, we just sat down and kind of looked at each other. And the thing about Zach Gilford is he's this incredibly grounded and generous and self-deprecating person. And I would look at him and he would just be waiting for me. And like, he was like, we're going to go on this journey together. For all of the shots we take at each other offset, like, we're going to be gentle and kind with each other. And I don't think I could have done it with any other human being but Zach, because it's kind of an embarrassing thing what we do. And
yeah.
Like, to play make-believe on that level and to truly let yourself pretend that you're somebody else saying these things.
She just was so present and giving, and it feels like when you're talking to her, she's listening. A lot of times in different projects, if you're not on camera, a lot of people give it 50 or 70 or 80%. Kate, always, even if the camera, like, she was like literally sitting on the dolly with the camera, she was still doing the one tear.
I love the one tear.
She's not even on camera, and I don't even know how to do the one tear, and she's doing it off camera.
I think playing evil comes natural to Sam, trying to tear people down. I'm more of a builder-upper.
It's kind of worse if you think about it, because you trust him. You know what you get with me.
Who do you want? The guy who pulls the rug out from under you, or the person who comes running at you screaming, I'm whacking you with the rug?
And then rolls you up in it and tosses you 5 miles out. I mean, really, I am the less villainous of the two.
It was fun, to be honest. There's not a lot of times in TV specifically, but in movies as well, where you get to shoot like a 10-minute or however long it is scene where it's just two people in chairs talking to each other. In this instance, who is this weird priest telling me this craziness? Hamish is amazing. And like, I can't imagine anyone else in that role. Him and I were friends before this project, good friends. I didn't even know he had auditioned for it. He was on the radar. And literally when I got offered the part, they're like, yeah, and Hamish Linklater is going to be the priest. I was like, hey, what? And as soon as I heard that, I was like, that's genius. Like, I can't imagine anyone else in this role.
When he was coming in to do a read, which, he doesn't do a lot, like, he's an accomplished actor, I begged to be the reader. Like, whether he gets this part or not, I want to see him do it. I dropped like a bunch of his cues because the second he started talking, I was just like, Hamish is good at this.
Zach lives like just down the street. I was like, oh, that's why they cast me to play this part. That works.
Before I shot anything, we shot that. It happened right on the heels of her saying farewell to her only living son in the middle of this very real, insane circumstances. The weight with which I wanted to lean into that moment and really like milk it, I also was like, I can't do that. This has to be, do you know what I mean?
None of that was faked. Like the wind was ripping through everything. These embers were flying through the air. They had to position and move trucks so that we could just try and make this happen before we had to shut down for the night. They actually had to pull the plug. So it was one of those things where, nature conspired to help us, and it was fabulous. And I loved it.
Well, it didn't affect how I played Riley, just because his arc was so there and made sense. So I just kind of played it as if there were only 5 episodes, and the 2 that happen after I'm gone, like who's gonna watch those anyway? The end, show over. But we shot that scene. It was our second day of shooting. To go in and shoot your death scene, your second day of shooting for a 7-episode show is difficult. And you don't know your scene partner. Luckily, she was Kate, and she was there for me.
The one thing I do have to say is that before we shot the coverage of me screaming, and that scream that lasts all over all the credits, Mike and Trevor asked me if I wanted to see the special effects shot that they were shooting. And so they bring in this like wire dummy wearing Zach's clothes, rigged up to like some strings. And on action, they cut the strings and it just collapses like Pinocchio. I was weeping, just like crying with laughter, because it is the funniest, most insubstantial death that I'm now. Right. And in reality, it's going to be this incredible, what turned out to be the special effect that was like heartbreaking and all these things. And then they're like, all right, up on the boat with you, time to scream.
Oh, that was actually pretty great. Kate is one of my favorite people in the entire world. I love Bev's face as she gets taken. There's just the little like, oh, there she goes. Like everybody watches her go, and then like she's being torn apart in the background, and life carries on.
The scene around the table where I have a whole bunch of medical jargon that I have to deliver. It was I felt a lot of pressure to deliver that with the right tone and medical accuracy.
All of your scenes, but definitely the scene where you say, what's a little crazy between friends, and you've gone crazy. And I'm like,
my son saw that. He was like, you're creepy, Mom.
A surprised favorite scene is in the first episode that we have together, me and Sam, where she asked me why I'm wearing the wrong colored chasuble. That was like one of the few scenes that we like got the day before or something like that.
Yeah, he's so right. The other scripts we had, which is delightful, but we had sat with them for months and months. Good choice, Hamish. Way to go.
Me and Bev in the school closet. Sam and I were friends for years, and I crop dusted every single time I left that room. So she's just standing there in my farts. It's true.
Well, you outed yourself.
That was before I knew I had a gluten allergy. I just like inked myself.
Sorry, Kate, but anything I had with Henry was...
Yes, it's okay.
Because I couldn't keep a straight face. And there's this one scene where it's the whole family at the dinner table. He's like, no, nope. And he was like, you're so ridiculous. But I really loved shooting the scene of him and I on the boat. And because it was like, there was plans of like, we had this huge crane on another boat, blah, 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 but we're on the water in the middle of the ocean. So the crane's like they can't get a shot. And so finally Mike was like, all right, just get rid of that. We'll just have one camera on the boat with someone holding it. And after we did it, and this is what I always feel like is the sign of a good scene, is when your crew comments on it. Our focus puller, when they yelled cut, goes, that was really cool. And then our cameraman goes, it's like the awkward conversation we all wish we could have with our father. It made me just feel like, yeah, we did a good job.
Thanks so much, BuzzFeed. Midnight Mass is streaming now on Netflix. Check it out.